Hello, this is Marcus Williams with the Marcus Williams Training Academy. Today I want to walk through the Misconduct Policy Investigation Report that is available for sale on my website, individually or as part of the case file toolbox. So this report, like all of them, can be customized. The wording can be customized to fit your policy exactly, and we can also add your branding. So get in touch with me if you would like customization. There are a lot of options online for report writing. There are web-based programs, there's software, and there are other templates. This template is designed to be a budget option for those of you who are just starting out or you don't have the case volume to justify a big purchase. This will allow you to print reports, but also keep electronic copies of reports, and they are designed to be accessible to your entire audience. So the parties of the investigation, your legal department, your appellate reviewer, everyone who needs to look at this report will be able to look at it and get the information they need. So let's walk through it real quick. The date of the report is when it becomes final. So you don't want to fill that in until you're ready to sign it. And when you fill that in, it also fills in the date at the end. Case number. Every case should be organized or have some sort of identifier. So that's your case number. The date you received the allegation, that's important. It shows how long it's been since you first got the allegation to when you completed the investigation. All right, the respondent's name. So let's say John Smith. An ID number is whatever you use as the identifier in your organization. So if there are 3 John Smiths, how do you differentiate between them? So a lot of times it's just an employee number. And then their status. John Smith is an employee. Okay, the complainant. Let's say it is Jane Doe. Her number is 34578. And she is also an employee. Allegation reported through is the vehicle they use. So reported through a supervisor, human resources, your online complaint program. How did you receive the allegation? So let's say supervisor, and you can put their name. Okay, so this next section seems a little counterintuitive. Let me walk you through it. This is the findings at a glance. So someone can say, did they find me guilty or not? And look at the first page and see that. All right, so the reason why it's repeated here. So regarding the report, what if the report contained multiple allegations? So regarding the report of stalking, Jane Doe said that John Smith has been contacting her, texting her, calling her, sending her gifts and notes, and she's asked him to stop, and she's afraid of him. Okay. So regarding the report of stalking, John Smith, and your investigation finds that he did, it supports to the evidentiary standard that he engaged in stalking. So you put that here. If there are multiple findings on multiple behaviors, you can include all of them here. Down here, you either leave it blank if stalking was the only allegation, but what if she also accused him of sexual assault? But in your evidence, in your investigation, there's not enough evidence to support that finding. So on there, you would have that. So anyone can come and look at this report and say, there's a finding for stalking, but not for sexual assault, right at a glance. All right, this box is your investigation timeline summary. This is a paragraph you write that essentially walks someone through the steps you took in your investigation. Not specific steps, those are found in your plan and your chronological record. But investigator received the case on this date. So maybe it took a week for that initial assessment from the date of the allegation. So investigator received case on this date, interviewed complainant on this date, interviewed respondent on this date. Complainant requested evidence from both parties. On this date, complainant supplied evidence. On this date, the respondent did. Complainant supplied a name of witnesses. On this date, witness interviews were conducted. Respondent declined to provide any witnesses. Prior to closing the investigation, I reached out to both parties and asked for any final evidence. So basically it walks through from when you first got the case to your last step before starting writing the report. The reason why this is important, what if in an appeal they're saying you failed to follow your policy, a procedural error, because you took too long, or you didn't ask for evidence, or you didn't ask for witnesses. Well, right here it says you asked him for witnesses on this date. Respondent declined to provide any witnesses. So that's all right here. They can see kind of a snapshot summary of the investigation flow. On this page, your first step is the allegations and response summary. So you want to put their relationship. John Smith and Jane Doe are co-workers. They've been working in the same section for 3 years. Jane Doe was interviewed on this day and stated that John Doe pushed her up against the wall in the break room and touched her breasts without consent. And he has been sending her text messages, gifts, etc., even after she has asked him repeatedly to stop, causing her fear and emotional distress. John Smith was interviewed and denied all of the allegations. Or John Smith was interviewed and stated they are just friends, and she never told him to stop contacting her. So really quick, you're not going into the evidence or the details, just she claimed this, he either denied it or he counterclaimed this. Now, just a list of all your witnesses, just the names of the people that you spoke to as witnesses, the date or dates of the alleged incidents. So the stalking occurred over the course of a month. So you'd put the beginning date about when it started and then when it ended. Or if it was just one incident, like one sexual assault, you would put that date. Interim measures. This is to capture whether or not they asked for them and if they were provided. What did the company do to provide interim measures? So again, no one can make a claim that you did not provide them to one party or the other. So Jane Doe was transferred to a different section during the course of the investigation. John Smith was allowed to telework 3 days a week during the investigation. All right, on this page, summary of undisputed facts. These are like bullet points. So undisputed facts would be that they were communicating via text message, that he sent her notes, that he gave her presents, and that they were together in the break room alone. Disputed facts, he's claiming he never touched her sexually in the break room, and he had no idea that she did not want contact, and so it's disputed whether that contact was wanted or unwanted. So that kind of shows at a snapshot what you were dealing with and what you had to investigate and what you had to corroborate. All right, so that's the report up to that point. So here it says see analysis section attached. So this is kind of one of the quirks of this form. It works really well, actually, once you get used to it. But in Adobe, it limits the length of narrative paragraphs. So we're switching over to Word. And here you're going to analyze your investigation. Just like we talked about in the lesson on report writing, you're going to focus on the facts, undisputed facts, what you did to corroborate those facts, what evidence corroborates them, and disputed facts, what is your conclusion based on the evidence you uncovered, which story was corroborated, which story was not corroborated, was credibility a factor in this case, how so, your evidence-based credibility assessment, all of that goes here. This is not a place to regurgitate reports you've already written. So say you spoke with a witness who saw Jane Doe run out of the break room that day, the date of the alleged incident, and she didn't look any different than normal. So you would just briefly state that. So witness George Brown stated that on the date in question, he saw complainant Jane Doe exit the break room. She appeared to be in a normal emotional state. He did not notice her to be upset, whatever, however you want to word it. See Exhibit 3. And then Exhibit 3 is where you do the entire summary of the interview. You have all of that in more detail. Text messages. So Jane Doe says, yes, I actually sent up a text saying stop contacting me. She provides a screenshot of that text. So you put Jane Doe provided a screenshot of text messages wherein she asked him to stop contacting her. See Exhibit 5. So you go through the entire analysis. This could be 1 page, it could be 10 pages. It depends on the complexity of your case. So once you're done with that analysis, and when I talk about exhibits, that's here. So let's go through those real quick. I find it helpful to organize my exhibits first in chronological logic order, or kind of the logical order in the way I'm going to use them in my narrative. So then it's easy when I'm writing my narrative to refer back to them. So here I said, witness interview of George Brown. So I said, and then the date that I interviewed him. So in my narrative where I said refer to or see Exhibit 3, they can look back and know this is the document they need to read. Text message, screenshot between Doe and Smith, and then the date of that text message. Not the date you received it, you want the date of the actual evidence. And there are 2 pages. You can use all of them. Maybe you only have 5 exhibits, maybe you have 50. Depends on your case. So in your narrative, you're referring back to these exhibits here, and those exhibits should be found in your case file. All right. Once you have finished that, before you finalize anything, you want a colleague, if you have one, to review your narrative. Why? Because you have all of the corporate knowledge of the case, so you may make leaps that in your mind make sense because you know all of the information, but someone reading it won't know. So your colleague could say, okay, you're concluding C, but how did you get from A to C? And you have to explain, go back and add B so that it makes sense. So it's very helpful to make sure that you are corroborating all of your evidence in a way that is understandable by having someone else read your document. So once you've read it, talked with your colleague, edited, it's all ready to go, then you want to save it, and then save as a PDF. So now you have your investigative analysis as a PDF, and you have your report, your misconduct report as a PDF. So those can just be sent. You can be done. You have your report, and then all of the files and exhibits that go with it. Your analysis included multiple documents. Or you can combine them all into one document. If you have the pro version of Adobe, you can organize pages and insert them. So you could insert your analysis here. You could insert all of your exhibits after that and make them one long PDF. So it just depends. If we're going full budget and you don't have the paid version, then you just have them as separate files and make sure you organize and name all those files so that they match. So what I mean by that is the document that has the witness interview of George Brown needs to be labeled witness interview of George Brown so that people can match the exhibit with the document. So as you get used to this, it's actually a very easy template to use. And the important thing is it is accessible and readable by all of the parties that need to access it and read it. So I have kind of honed this down to include those sections from a much larger document to what is just what is needed and what people ask for when I'm working with organizations. So if you do need something else, again, we can customize and add it for you. Get in contact with me. But this is a great basic budget-friendly template for your reports that will allow you to have consistent reporting so that all of your case files look the same, all of your reports look the same, and they're consistent across the board. And you are able to ensure that you did everything that you need to because you have to fill out everything so that it's kind of a checks and balances on you as well. All right. I hope that is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I would be happy to answer them for you. MarcusWilliamstraining.com is where you can find the documents. Thanks for watching.